on to the energy leadership. So this energetic self-perception chart, this concept was developed by Bruce Schneider, and he's a psychologist. He's where I got trained for the coaching work that I do. And he developed this energy leadership concept. And it really resonates with many people for professional and personal reasons. And it's very easy to understand. And you have this in your results as well. And we're going to actually go through each of the levels so that you can understand what they mean. And there are 7 levels. And the circle represents, we're not going to focus so much on here. We're going to focus mostly here on these sections in terms of the thoughts, the feelings that ensue from them, and the actions. But I will briefly just talk about what the concentric circles mean. So the first 2 levels of energy that we're going to explore are considered catabolic energy, and that means it is energy that just doesn't feel as good and is not as productive as anabolic energy. And so catabolic energy sometimes taxes our limbic system, sometimes taxes our relationships, and it has negativity, and so actual repercussions on ourselves psychologically, physically, and relationally. When we have that type of energy, when we're resonating that type of energy, our ego is something that we are trying to protect. The energy level is low, and we're basically unconsciously reacting to things, and so we're not building through conscious actions. There's a lot of needing, and there's a limited amount of faith or no faith, either externally or internally. And then as we move out of catabolic energy, and unfortunately, we're told that the majority of the population sometimes will reside and will have a lot of resonating level 1 and 2 energy, even on a good day or their regular days. As we move out of that, we move into anabolic energy, and that is the energy of responsibility, concern, the one that I call opportunity, reconciliation. In that level of energy, there's still a strong ego, and the ego is basically how we see ourselves, our identity, and our ego is designed and wants to protect us. So it's all about self-preservation, self-preserving that identity. And so that's strong still. The energy is beginning to be better in terms of productive, feeling better. And then in terms of awareness and consciousness, you're at the level of awareness when you're residing in this type of energy. And so it starts to be, again, feel better and be more productive. And then on the outer levels, which are levels 6 and 7 that you'll learn about, basically the sense of ego is gone. And it doesn't mean that the ego is bad or that we reject it, but it simply means that there's an understanding of something greater happening. And you'll understand what that means shortly. And in terms of there's consciousness, in terms of what individuals are doing, making choices that are conscious there, and the levels of energy are higher, obviously, and so lead to more productive outcomes in life. And so we will start by just looking at your energy leadership assessment results. And you have a graph like this. And the lower part of the graph is your energetic stress reaction. And so that is how you perform under stress. So whenever there's a stressful situation, your energy tends to gravitate to wherever the bar is higher is your predominant, and then the second one is your secondary for under stress. And then the profile at the top is how you would function on a normal day in terms of energy. And so energy, I like to describe it, it's kind of like an ice tray. You can fill, parts of it and tilt it one way or the other, and then it fills that way. So it's just kind of shifting is what you're doing, and it shifts throughout the day based on different situations that we encounter. But we do have a choice in the type of energy that we use for different types of interactions and things that happen in our life. So the ELI is a tool to measure and improve just our well-being. And a little bit of background, there's a lot of research that's starting to come out with the ELI, which is exciting. So there was a dissertation in 2017, and you have access to a event page that I made for everyone, and you have the URL. And so it's this page, so it's just a web page. And in there, you will have the resources that you need from many of the things that we talk about today. And then if anything else comes up that I say that I will provide to you, then I'll add those as well at the end of our time together. So there's a dissertation that came out in 2017 that looked at the energy leadership levels, and they realized that it was a small case study with senior managers and then those that took the assessment and went through a coaching program that was based on learning how to shift their energy levels. After a year, actually improved in terms of the energy levels and emotional intelligence, and the control group actually regressed after a year of being in those leadership positions. So that was very interesting. And another group who did a small study, I guess, because it was just in a proceeding. I've been looking for the study, and it was a surgeon's group. And this is what they were doing, is looking at a tool to measure and improve resident well-being. The goal was that they looked at the average resonating levels that you're going to learn about, and they compared those to looking at burnout, perceived stress, depression, satisfaction in 14 areas of life. And the instruments that they use, you may be familiar with, the MBI, the Perceived Stress Scale, PSS, and the Beck Depression Inventory, BDI. And then they found that the instrument did correlate well with those and predict those burnout and stress levels. And I'm sorry these aren't showing up so well with the lighting. The conclusions were that they needed, obviously, to improve resident well-being, and that the lower ARLs that we're going to talk about did correlate with increased symptoms of all those things that we talked about, so depression and stress and burnout. And I have a link to that if you are interested in looking at that. And so in terms of the energy leadership levels, we'll go through each one so you can begin to understand what your results mean. And so you have this table in your handout. So we talk about it as there's no energy is either good or bad, it just is. Sometimes there may be times where a certain energy is better to solve or resolve a certain situation, and so it's all about consciousness and being able to use the right energy at the right time. And so, for example, here, we'll start with victim energy. So victim energy, the core thought, and let me take a step back so we could talk in a very simplistic way about thoughts and emotions and feelings. There's a quote that I love that talks about emotions play out in the theater of the body and feelings play out in the theater of the mind. So it is a very simplistic way to look at how our brain works and our emotions, but it kind of gets to the point. So emotions play out in the theater of the body. So if there's two individuals that maybe have to do a public speaking event, and one individual might feel that they'll begin to feel the same thing in the body, and maybe both their heart rate accelerates, maybe their hands get warm and sweaty, maybe they get a little bit of anxiousness. So both the individuals are experiencing the same thing in their body, but one individual, once these emotions register in the brain, begins to tell him or herself, this is normal. I always get a little bit anxious before I speak, but then within 3 or 5 minutes, I'll be relaxed. I've done this before, and the outcome is going to be fine, and I'm going to enjoy the experience. And so then that may be the message that the narrative that they've created. Whereas the other individual might create the narrative of, oh my goodness, I hope I don't choke. I'm going to forget what I'm going to say. People are not going to like me. People are not going to like the information I'm giving. And so then all of a sudden, this person has a very different outcome, for the same feeling that was created in the body. So once these emotions reach then the thought process and the narratives we create, the outcome is very different. And so that's important to note. So at level one is considered victim energy. And the idea in terms of winning, this individual who's resonating at this level feels that they never win. And so something happens in life, and the premise is, okay, here we go again. I can't ever catch a break no matter what I do. My limitations are externally imposed by whoever my boss is, whoever the president is, whatever it may be, is all affecting what I can and can't do. And so that's the type of energy that begins to ensue. Then what happens in terms of thoughts, emotions, and feelings is apathy. They begin to lose that interest that they have in whatever it is. And then what ensues from that is being lethargic. And so low energy, low engagement, and things like that. And so we all experience this level of energy at some point. And so the idea is, how long do you stay there? How often do you experience? How do you get out of there? How do you work with others who may be resonating at this level? So those are the things we're going to keep in mind. And then at level two is considered conflict energy. And so conflict or anger energy has a spectrum. So anger is probably on the higher end would be rage, the extreme of anger. On the lower end, just frustration and annoyance. And so even if someone is just constantly frustrated and annoyed with others, they are resonating at level 2 energy. So it doesn't have to be full rage or full anger. It can just be constant annoyance with others. And in terms of winning here is I win, you lose. And so in order for somebody to win, somebody else has to lose, and that's the philosophy. Like they could not conceive that two people could have a win-win situation. It's like it's either me or you, and so I've got to self-preserve, so it's going to be me type of in terms of winning or losing. Defiance is what ensues, and obviously anger as well. Sometimes we do, engage in conflict energy in order to get something done. And the results that we see is that, yes, it gets something done for the moment. Change happens, but usually it's not lasting change, right? And everything reverts back to how it was. And then relationships are usually hurt during the process. So something to keep in mind there. And then the third level, we start to get into anabolic energy, and this is level 3 energy. And at this energy, we can both win. And so it's okay if, we're trying to work on this paper, and as long as I get first authorship or however it works for you, primary authorship in this paper, then you can have it on the next one. So people are still protecting their interest. It's okay that you win and you're going to be successful, but I have to protect my interest to make sure that I'm going to win as well. At this level, people take responsibility. So something doesn't go well, they will step back and say, what role did I play in this? What could I have done better to have a better outcome? And so they're willing to cooperate. They're willing to forgive others. They're willing to accept responsibility. So if the whole world functioned at level 3, most of the time it would be a very, very different world. And so definitely something to aspire to. But there's actually more and higher levels of energy that we could aspire to. Level 4, I call this the Mother Teresa level or the caregiver level because there's a lot of compassion. And I knew that in this room there would be a lot of level 4 energy with teachers and nurses and professors. You will see that type of energy. And so that level of energy is, I don't need to win. I have nothing to prove anymore. Or I'm not threatened by your wins. I'm actually here to help you succeed, and it's your turn to win. And so they're just putting their interest aside to give to others. And in terms, it's always wanting to be of service is the outcome that happens from them. And there's a lot of compassion that comes from individuals resonating at level 4. Obviously, there's a negative side to it. Too much level 4 without a proper balance is going to lead to burnout. And so as you can see, there's always a positive and a negative to all the energies. Level 5, I like to call it the level of opportunity. On your table, it's called the level of reconciliation. The type of level 5 quote that you would hear from a person resonating at level 5 would be something like, there's no such thing as a problem, there's only opportunities. And so someone resonating high in level 5, something happens, a policy gets promulgated, instead of complaining about it and saying, well, the state doesn't know, they've never been in the classroom, so that's something that we hear a lot. So how could they know what's best for, whatever your field is? Instead of spending energy complaining about that, the individual resonating at 5 says, okay, well, this is what it is. How can we take this and actually use it to improve our program or to, prevent this problem from happening again or curtail other problems from happening? So a very outlook in terms of that, like we're going to leverage this as an opportunity. And so here there's peace, and then there's confidence, obviously, that ensues when you function at level 5. The disadvantage to this type of energy is sometimes people can be unrealistic, so get too much of in this energy and then just not realize maybe some red flags that should really be considered. And sometimes people can come across as maybe not as grounded when they're resonating at high level 5 because everybody else is maybe at 1 or 2, and here's this person, the majority of the group is complaining or upset about something that happens, and this person is ready to just do something with it and actually use it as an advantage. And so sometimes there could be that disconnect. And then at level 6 is the level of synthesis, and at that level you have, in terms of winning, well, at level 5, winning is we both win or we don't play. So that was level 5. At level 6, it is you have synthesis, we always win, so everybody always wins, we always win. And then what ensues from there in terms of emotions is joy, and then the outcome is wisdom. And so at level 6, there's an aerial view to life. So something happens, and they're able to see the big picture. People that resonate high with level 6 feel that everyone is connected and that everything is connected and that things happen for a reason. And they usually can suspend whatever it is that they want, like their own agenda, and put it aside to see the agenda of the bigger picture. And so they don't take things personal at level 6. And so that's level 6, so we all win. And then finally, level 7. Level 7 is the level of passion, non-judgment. It's what it's called on your table. And so that means that that individual resonating there is not even thinking in terms of winning and losing. So there's no such thing as winning or losing. Those are man-made constructs. At that point, there's absolute passion, and the goal is creation. And so I like to describe that as a musician in a state of flow who is playing his or her music, an athlete who is in the zone, who suspends and even probably forgets that they are competing and in a game, and they are just performing in the moment. Somebody in a state of flow, either writing or working as well, where time just seems to pass and they're not judging their work. And so maybe even moments of prayer or things like that may be at that level 7. We don't live at level 7 unless you're a monk in Tibet, perhaps, but most of us will have moments and taste of level 7. And so someone who does work in terms of the state of flow is Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi, and his name's always difficult to say, but he's done research in state of flow, whether it's work that you're doing creatively or professionally, and what that feels like and what those states do for you. And so we definitely want to aim for moments of that in our lives. So those are the 7 levels, and you've had an opportunity to learn about them and explore. And so before you start looking at your own results, we're going to make sure that you've gained some clarity on what the different levels mean. So I'd like to invite you to partner just with individuals around you, so in 2s or 3s, and complete this exercise. And the exercise is a wall was put up on your path, so literally or figuratively, but a wall was put up in your path where you're trying to traverse. And what would the different people resonating at these different levels say? So what would a victim say about the wall? And then go through each of the levels, and then think about what it would take to move to the next level. So what does the victim need to do to move into conflict or energy? Because actually, we want people to move from 1 to 2. So whenever I'm coaching and somebody is stuck on level 1, nothing's ever going to change for them. So once they get angry or frustrated at the situation, that's actually an accomplishment, and we're making progress. And so even going to level 2 is progress over level 1. So just take a moment and explore with those around you what that might look like. So it was great walking around and seeing what people were coming up with in terms of the different levels and beginning to understand those. So at level 1, what would somebody at level 1 think or say or feel about the wall or do? Yes, here it is, another wall again. I could never win. I'm just going to sit here. There's nothing more I can do about it. It's a very big wall. It's very tall, and here it is again. So. My fault they built the wall. Yes, 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 exactly.
Oh, that's good to know.
Yes. Okay, at level 2. The conflict energy, what would that look like? What would somebody think, do, or say with that type of energy facing a wall?
They get angry.
They would get angry. Mm-hmm.
Kick the wall.
Exactly, kick it. Uh-huh.
That only hurts your foot.
Yes, yes, exactly. It's personal. Yes, it's very personal, yes. Yes, and so they... Yes, yeah, exactly. Very good. Exactly. The wall was your fault. And maybe even beginning to try to demolish the wall in some way or another. At level 3, so we're getting into anabolic energy that's more productive, feels better. What would a level 3 resonating individual do with the wall or think about it? Yes.
Throw someone over.
Yes. Let's be responsible, yes. Yes. So at level 3, it may be in terms of, well, maybe there's some fault that I had in this. Maybe I didn't give them the proper blueprint or layout for the wall. Maybe I took the wrong path. And so there's a lot of self-reflection, like what could I have done differently? And I forgive the person who put the wall up. Maybe they were thinking they were doing a service to the world, and in reality, they're not. And so there's cooperation. At that point, they're thinking of, yes, go ahead.
Anything goes up can come down.
Okay, yes. That would probably be more of 5, but yes, no, at level 3 too, just saying that this is not permanent. Right, exactly. Good, I like that. And then at level 4, compassion, that level, what would the thoughts be there?
I'm sorry the wall's there.
Yes, I'm sorry the wall's there. I'm worried about how others are going to deal with the wall. How will others feel about the wall? How will they get over the wall? Is the wall going to deter them? And so you would begin to think about others and how can I help them with that. At level 5, that's a level of opportunity or reconciliation. What would that individual?
That's what we said, we can make it work.
Yes, we can make it work. Yeah. So there's a wall. Maybe we go around it. Maybe we go under it. Maybe we go over it. Maybe I use the wall to paint a mural we talked about back there, and so use it for some beautification. Maybe I, put those things on the wall and start practicing climbing the wall and get stronger and turn and use it to work out. So they just turn it into an opportunity. So this is not going to deter me. It'll be something good that will benefit me and others. So that win-win. And then the next level, synthesis. That's a tough one. I'd be curious.
Some stairs.
Oh, okay. So put some stairs. So you're taking an aerial view of how this wall could actually be of greater service and benefit and things like that. And so it's going to need the addition of stairs as well. So taking that aerial view. Okay.
Like the wall of China. They had whole cities inside those walls.
Right.
It was their military battlements.
Right. So that would be, right. So that's definitely level 5. And I think level 6 as well, because that could be, again, looking at the bigger picture of what we could do this. So we've got this wall. What's the bigger meaning of it? What's the bigger purpose of it? So it's stepping beyond and thinking beyond possibility, thinking beyond what, we think might be acceptable or possible or probable. So, and then
I think the wall can make it stronger.
the wall can make it stronger. Yes. Yes, absolutely. So that could be another way to look at it. And then what about at level 7? That's another tricky one. What wall? There you go. Are you kidding me? I don't see anything. Yes. Yes. Yeah, so the person who had this, developed this exercise had something like, being one with the wall or being able to walk through the wall and be unscathed, so it's just transcendental, just beyond anything. But yes, what wall? I like that. So now I'd like you to, everybody really has a great grasp on the energy leadership levels, and these serve you at a personal level and at a professional level all the time in all your interactions, even the most important interaction that you have, which is a communication and interaction that you have with yourself. So even the conversations that you have with yourself, being mindful and conscious of what levels they are in can make a big difference in your life. And so let's look at your profile. And your profile, again, is confidential. It was sent to you. If there was any problems with that, just let me know and we'll get it to you. And you have your energetic stress reaction. So the bottom is what happens under stress. Don't worry, most people under stress are going to have very high level 1 and 2 energy. So otherwise, they probably wouldn't be under stress. But what you want to see is maybe beginning to think about when I'm under stress, they actually say that your third highest on your regular functioning day is what gets you under stress. So if you want to take a moment and write primary and secondary on your first and second highest under stress, and then on your energetic profile, write primary, secondary, and tertiary, so for your first, second, and third. If you have a tie, like let's say you have a tie between 3 and 4, you always go down 1, so it would be 3. So if my highest level is 5 and my second highest level is a 3 and a 4 and there's a tie, then the 3 becomes my second highest and the 4 becomes my third. So write down the words primary, secondary, and tertiary for those. And under stress, what you want to pay attention to is, okay, how much, and then just reflect as well in your life, does the conversation that goes on or the actions that ensue have to do with, here I go again, I can't catch a break, no matter what I do, nothing changes, I don't have the power to do anything about this, it won't make a difference no matter what I do. How long do you stay in that type of energy? And so looking at the portion between this and getting into anger or conflict energy. And then in terms of conflict, how long is that and how much is that? And so looking at what the impact of stress, because it's either leading us to one of those two things. And so stress simply is the difference and the gap between where I am and where I want to be. So I'm here and I really want to be over here. The bigger the gap, the more my stress, or the less I believe that I can achieve getting here, the bigger the stress. And so that's all stress is from something that the difference between what we want or think that we want, and then the reality. And so the bigger the gap, the more fearful we are of that gap, the less we believe that we can close that gap, then that's what stress is. And so that's what's happening. Obviously, stress robs you of all of this. So the person experiencing stress here has this, in this example, 53% energy going towards the victim thinking. And remember what happens in victim, we begin to have apathy, we begin to be lethargic, so we lose a lot of our ability to do things and make a difference there. They stay there for a little bit and then they go up to anger and conflict energy, which we said is sometimes better, because sometimes you have to get upset about a situation to begin to change it. But the whole point of everything is to be conscious of it. There are people that just react daily, and I have seen those when I'm coaching someone and they take the assessment and the results come in. I can't tell you what it feels like to open it and see these two very high up here, kind of like in this case, but sometimes it's mostly this and the other levels are lower. And just to think and pause and think that person is navigating their life that way every day at 1 and 2, it feels like somebody just, tugged at my heart. But good thing that they're in coaching and aware and want to do something different. But there are people who resonate very high under just their average days in 1 and 2. And so just take a moment. When I first took the assessment and I saw what stress was doing to me in terms of how high these were and where my potential was, it was just very eye-opening. And it really led me to think about, well, what do I want to do different in life so that I can decrease that amount of stress that I have? Take a moment and look at that. And answer number 3, what do you notice about your energy leadership levels under stress? And so what is stress costing you? Okay, and now let's look at your average resonating profile. You also had a score with your ARL score, and so that no one's ever going to have, like I said, a 7 or a 6 or something like that, because it's balanced out by the stress reaction, and everybody has stress. They told us that in terms of the assessment, the majority of people are resonating around the low 2s, very low 2s, in terms of their daily functioning, their average resonating level when you compare stress and average days. It's a beautiful thing that in this organization, the majority of you are very, in your 3s and high 3s and very close to 4s. And so that was, and we're going to explore that more when we look at the group average as well. But let's go back to your energetic profiles. So again, looking at, you've got your primary, your secondary, your tertiary. And your tertiary, so your third highest, is the one that you can lean into if it makes sense. Sometimes it might not make sense, and we'll talk about that. But for most of you, I think it will. Your results looked pretty normal. So 3, your third highest, is the one that's going to get you out of stress. So when you're in conflict and energy mode, if your third highest was 4, then maybe it's time to just step outside of yourself and then go take care of someone or the situation, and that would allow you to get out of stress. If your third highest was 5, then maybe it's time to see this, instead of looking at it as a stressful situation, to look at it as an opportunity. Like, I'm going to grow in this. I'm going to learn something. I'm going to be able to fix something that's going to resolve and prevent problems in the future. If your third highest was a level 6, then what would take you out of there is just, I'm just not even going to think about myself in this equation and totally put my agenda aside and try to see the bigger picture. How is this going to benefit the organization? How is this going to benefit the majority of individuals? How is this all interrelated and connected in my life? And I know that it's all going to end up working out, because things always do. So those are the ways, yes.
Your number 3 is a level 1.
Yes, that's what I said, that if it doesn't make sense, then I'd be interested in having a conversation with you, but in that case, are there opportunities? Are there situations where, because level 1 can be used, especially if you are a level 4 person who's always giving and giving and giving, it might be time for somebody else to start doing something for you. And so level 1 becomes the energy that you might need to be in. It's like, I'm so stressed. It's your turn to take the lead on this project. It's your turn to cook dinner, clean the house, or whatever it is, because I need to be taken care of. And so it would make sense in that realm. And that's why I said that sometimes it doesn't make sense. But you might want to examine, is that an opportunity for you to step back and let somebody else do something that you've been carrying otherwise? So, okay. And then, so I don't think anyone has tertiary 7, but that would be, just kind of finding the passion in that, finding, the no judgment in that. There's no such thing as a bad situation, it just is, and moving from there. So those are your profiles. Any questions about any of the levels or how they work?
I want, and I've been listening attentively.
Yes, yes.
I still don't understand the relationship between, because I'm looking at my energetic profile, and then I look at the energetic stress reaction.
Right.
So can you explain that relationship, so that when I'm looking at this, how can I fix whatever is broken?
Yes, okay. Well, just tell me what to fix. Yes. Yes. So the point is, when you look at your stress profile, it's robbing you of whatever your regular profile is. So this person, whatever your profile is at the top, you could be living those days most of the days of the week. But when you're under stress, it's causing you all of that. So for example, if somebody's very high in level 5 or 6 energy on an average day, when they're under stress and they're a lot under victim and anger mode, they're losing their ability to look at opportunities. They're losing ability to not take things personal. They're losing the opportunity to see the aerial view of things. So stress is causing you this is kind of your best version of yourself, who you are now. And then as you begin to change, you can become the best version that you ideally would want to become. And so, and that's the next step, for you to put a star next to the level that you would like to begin to practice and resonate more so in your life. So which one would serve you best? One thing that I do want to point out is that level 4 energy, again, is a great energy. And there's a lot of that in this room, which makes a lot of sense. Sometimes level 4 energy attracts a lot of level 1 energy. And either in relationships, in personal, intimate relationships, or professional relationships. So that's something to be mindful of, because obviously the victim wants to be taken care of, and the caregiver wants somebody to take care of to feel good about themselves, and it's because that's all they know to do. And so you may be creating an enabling pattern. So even if you are, high in 4 or want more of 4, just be mindful of that, of watching that. But just put a star under where you think you can begin to resonate personally and professionally that might serve your life better. And maybe it's already a level that you have and you just want to practice more of it and be conscious of it. So I did this assessment 3 years ago, and I redid it recently, and I thought, well, my results are going to be skewed and not very valid, because I've been coaching, I've been using the instrument, I know the questions inside and out and all of that. I was very, very surprised to learn that that wasn't the case. My profile was pretty much the same. I had reduced, in terms of stress, anger energy and victim energy, and then some of, on my profile at the top, some of my energies that I had increased, and then I had been working on consciously using more level 5 energy and just kind of shifting and looking for opportunities and things, and then that grew a little bit. So it was just really amazing and beautifully affirming to see that, wow, the instrument really captured, what I've been working on and the actual growth that I've had. So you won't, if you retake this, you probably won't see anything wildly different in a year. There'll just be general shifts that you'll start seeing and growing as you practice them more and more, because it takes a lot of work to do this. It doesn't come naturally to begin to rewire the brain to have different responses. So, okay, I hope you have your star next to the one that you want to practice, engaging in personally and professionally.